problems with our state government regulation, not only on public schools, but on private and homeschool.
Yes, I would be happy to. Thank you for asking.
Patricia, you may want to stand. It might help you
Okay.
project a little bit without a microphone.
Thank you for the question, Mayor. I'd be happy to expound on it. I have to tell you that one of the dangers that we have on our side is that we think, well, we don't like something that's going on, so let's try to force it into being what we like. And I don't agree that that's the way that we should work. I have decided to homeschool my children for many various reasons, but it's not against public schools. Public schools are an important and integral part of educating our population, and that is essential for our business success. But regulations are not going to help education do better. It's not going to increase the outcome. One of the proposals that was made here in the Eastern Panhandle Business Association was that we increase attendance up to the age of 18, and I was one of the few people who did not like that, because staying in school for 18 years does not necessitate success. It is not actually being in a classroom that is going to cause a student to succeed or not succeed. They're going to succeed because they have the drive, the motivation, the good resources, and the choice. And I want to increase choice, not decrease choice. So more school choice, more options for parents. And one of the things that I face as a homeschool parent, we have guidelines that they tell us we have to fulfill. And if we fail in those guidelines, we can lose our freedom to homeschool our children. But yet those guidelines that they say we have to fulfill are much higher than the guidelines that public schools have to fulfill. So to me, it seems really ironic and a little bit unjust that they put us at a higher standard and think that, you know, well, you guys are homeschooling, we're going to have to regulate you really tough to make sure you're doing your job, when all evidence is on the contrary. And the reason is because homeschool parents are there with their children, giving them choices, oversight, caring about their success. The regulations do not help, I can tell you. I believe that most parents want their children to succeed. And I believe that most West Virginians want to succeed and want a good paying job. We as a government are supposed to just give them the tools and the opportunity, not regulate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
I went down to Charleston for constitutional care. But then my question is the next phase. We have constitutional care. But Tennessee has passed a law that says if you prevent me from caring and I suffer injury, you're responsible. You're liable. Your thoughts on that? Can we get the legislature to pass something similar to what Tennessee's passed, so that people who legally carry will be protected in the event that somebody prevents them from doing so?
Anyone want to tackle that?
I'll leave it.
All right,
Well,
go.
you know, as you're probably well aware, I'm a strong Second Amendment supporter.
Yes, I know.
And West Virginia, the people of West Virginia are strongly Second Amendment supporters, as well as traditionally state government has. West Virginia is fairly strong in that area. I'm not sure about the specific proposal you're talking about. I would have concerns about opening up a liability issue where, are we talking about if you enter a building and they take your firearm from you, or the fact that I'm not carrying today and I get injured in some assault? So I would have to see the specific proposal.
I
But
sent you the link.
okay, that would be great. But yeah,
I
certainly.
sent everybody in the legislature the link
Okay.
to the article.
Marshall?
Yes, sir, thank you. Well, Sampson, I'm pretty sure you know where I stand on Second Amendment.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I do.
I am an infantry officer in the United States Army, and I'm also a member of the CDL, a very active member of the CDL. And I got to tell you, I would not support it for this reason, because I can choose where I go. I do not believe in using the power of the government to compel anyone to do anything that's not absolutely necessary. So if I choose to, one of the grocery stores has a sign up that says you can't carry your weapon in here, I choose whether I go in that grocery store or not. Now, the one caveat to that would be situations where I have to go. If I have to walk into, I'm trying to think of a place right now.
School, take your kids to school.
Court. If I have to walk into court. If I were perchance elected to the legislature of this state, I would like to be able to protect myself in that legislature. Now, I happen to be someone who understands the limits of having strategically placed guards because I ran security for the 5th Special Forces Group for a year in Iraq. I know that it really does matter how many people you've got who are prepared to do the job. So the fact that you've got a couple of guys standing at the front door and a couple other guys maybe wandering around on the grounds doesn't mean that I'm necessarily safe where I am, and I'd like to be able to protect myself and my friends. I understand the arguments against that. I'm willing to discuss them with anyone. I'm even willing to have my mind changed as long as someone can guarantee me that there's a reason for me to not have responsibility for my own security. On the other hand, I would not support the idea of saying that, say if you show up at hospice today and they have a sign that says don't carry your weapon here, I can choose not to go to hospice. Does that make sense?
As much as I can choose not to pay attention to the sun.
Exactly. As much as I could choose to not go into that building, I would not compel the owners of that building to be responsible for my injuries if I sustained injuries in that building. Is that fair enough? Thank you, sir.
Daryl, you had a question?
I do, but first, a short statement. We've been doing these forums now nearly every month of 2016. We've had good bipartisan involvement. I think we all appreciate the Democrats and the Republicans that have either appeared or sent in statements. It's very valuable for us to hear from everyone. And I think that we can all testify that those that may not think we're supporting of them receive a fair and kind welcome when they come to this room. That being said, I was disappointed, Patricia, that your opponent didn't respond to us, and Marshall, that your opponent didn't respond to us in attending today's forum. Since they're not here to define themselves, and since this is an election of contrast, what would you say is the biggest single contrast between you and your opponent?
That is a hard question. Oh my God, stand up. My opponent and I do not agree on most issues, policy related. I would say really one of the biggest things is I've been talking about regulations, and he is for increased regulation. He believes the government can tell you what to do and can protect you better than you can yourself, and I don't.
Well, sir, the way that he defines the difference from what I've heard is that he's a West Virginia native and I'm not. So if that's your primary concern, please vote for Mr. Collis. He is a West Virginia native. If it's not your primary concern, if your primary concern is a slim government that's focused on doing exactly its job and nothing else, please vote for me. That doesn't seem to be anything that he's interested in based on my conversations with him. He seems to believe that the government's job is to take care of us, to provide for us, and to be our parent. I'm 47 years old. I've raised 9 children. I've been around the world. I fought a war, taking care of 300 men. I'm not sure I really need a parent anymore, and I would appreciate it if I'd be allowed to just live my life and help other people to realize that level of responsibility and individuality too. Thank you.
Be to the 2 people representing here that are not listed here, and I guess one of them would be to Mr. Snyder and the other would be to Mr. Marshall. In terms of critical issues that are in here dealing with both right to work and prevailing wage rate. Those are pretty cut and dry issues that I think everybody is pretty familiar with. The importance to the business community. If the 2 of you would be willing to respond on your views or how you view your candidate would be feeling on those issues.
Mr. Snyder?
To be honest, I'm sorry, I've not discussed that with Rod, so I don't feel like I can really express anything beyond what he's written in a particular position on that particular issue.
Why don't you just tell us, Lee, how you feel, and then tell Rod that doesn't have
There is no doubt I've done that. I will. I've done that.
Thank you,
Do you have a
sir.
comment on those two specific
Yes, sir, absolutely.
issues?
I'd like to say again, please forgive me. I believe in the rule of law. I get it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here anyway. Delegate Overington, thank you for the question. I staunchly support these two pieces of legislation. I think those are a couple of the finest pieces of legislation I've ever seen.
Mr. President, the floor is yours again. Thank you all. You can
Thank you, sir.
stay up here or rejoin the crowd.